word dust in the character. He wanted to remind us of our humble beginning, of what we came from and what we shall return back to. Because, it's like when you thinking, like saying, for example, something is difficult in your life to accomplish, and you're going after this task, and you know it's difficult. But Allah already made way for you to get over this difficulty, because he proved that by creating himself from nothing, and then he brought himself into something. And it's small as dust. You look at dust and say, that's nothing. But when I look at you, you're the dust. You're the reality of that dust. So, Allah wanted to just show us our humble beginning. And we want to keep that in mind all the time.
Yeah.
And then show our potential of what we can become. Because he took us from dust, and then ultimately we can be God for ourselves. So we look at each other. We've been taught to hate each other. So we look at each other like we're nothing. But he has it so in us that our potential, and that was one of our key words, that the potential of us can ultimately become a God.
That's right.
So, I lost my train.
Take it down.
No, I was just going to say that shows our potential, where he's showing us how we just come from a little dust, and like you said, it's dust flying around here right now, we don't even see it. Right. It has no significance whatsoever. And then you take a dust particle, and then that dust particle became the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So look how the great potential that the dust came. So wherever you are in your standard of life, that you have the potential to become this and not just stay here. That's just a stage in your development. So you can, within yourself, a struggle to become the ultimate and not just stay as dust.
Oh, good. Wow.
Yeah.
Good. Beautiful. You got something else you burning with, like fire yourself in your bone?
That sounds like Jeremiah. It's actually, I was thinking in my mind is that, man was Adam in Hebrew, and then the earth was actually called Adamah, and because the man came from the earth, which is the dust. And then also, too, when she's saying that we have the potential to be gods, that's what Psalms 82 actually says, that ye are gods. But there's also a difference between being a righteous God versus somebody that's an uncircumcised God, and that's in Ezekiel 28. Somebody could put themselves in the seat of a God, but they're not really maneuvering as one that's judging in righteousness. So there's a difference. So, but we do have the potential to be gods, but the first hurdle that somebody has to get over is to even understand that they can be that, or even view themselves as that, because we've been preached to as a child. I was told as a black man, you're going to have to work twice as hard, and everything is going to be super harder for you, and this, that, and the third, and this is not a fair life. But once again, like we were saying earlier, you can force change, you can make things different, but you got to understand the God within you first in order to make that change even happen, because if that wasn't the case, then we still would be drinking from colored water fountains.
Oh, wow. Wow, this is getting good.
Let me get something like on that what you just said, and I don't want to be an oddball, but you just said something that was real deep. Are we still drinking from these colored water fountains?
It depends on the perspective. Because I know, for example, like somebody could look at school and say that it's not segregated, but it's still segregated because you can take kids from the ghetto in these certain areas and put them in a particular English class altogether. And then you take these kids over here and you put them all in this class over here with a different teacher. Now they all going to the same school, but they're still segregated. And these kids over here are getting kicked out more, arrested more, and all that. And their learning and education is not the same as these kids over here in the classroom, but they're still going through the same school every single day, and it doesn't look segregated.
But it is.
But it is. But it's not,
Right.
quote unquote.
So we are still drinking from the colored water fountains. That covers everything, right?
Technically speaking,
Even these brilliant minds that's sitting in here right now with answers.
Well, I mean, in a sense, yeah, because, I mean,
Brothers,
if you go to...
excuse me, one
Okay.
second. Let me just say this, let's try to keep it on the subject, because when we get off it, it's going to take more time. And the way the study group is ran, brother, is always ran according to the study guide. No disrespect to what y'all saying, the discussion, but we want to keep the discussion based on this and not making it a challenging thing.
No, we discuss it after.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Discuss it
saying.
after, yeah.
Let's try to stay on this
Assalamu alaikum.
so we can move forward.
Assalamu
Like
alaikum.
this.
Brother man, you know something? It's beautiful for scientists to share their knowledge, to build something. But when you get a formula,
Yes, sir.
in that formula, people ask for manifestation, okay? Manifest something.
Mm-hmm.
If we just take in, I know a lot of people that know how to recite the Bible and the Quran.
Right.
But what does it produce? Now, in this, and what he said, and then I asked him about the colored fountains.
Right.
See, that's got everything to do
I
with
understand,
this.
Brother Jeffrey. I really totally understand what you're saying, everything, brother. But I'm trying to keep it the way this is supposed to be ran. Myself, Brother Kashif, sister, and sister, we have certain instructions on how to monitor this here and to keep this thing rolling so it can roll smoothly so we can get through these courses. And the purpose of getting through these courses, because it's exactly what it says, self-improvement and the base of development for community development. We want to go through this course so we can keep it moving and not be stagnated on one thing. Because these questions and whatever posed, we can deal with that another time. Because what we're doing, we're going off the path of the course of what the minister put us on. We don't want to do that. We want to stay on this course and keep this thing rolling.
So
smooth.
now how can we
That's all
connect the
That's
dots?
all I'm saying. There's no disrespect to
That's
anybody.
exactly what I was trying to do.
Now, I'm looking at the words. I was looking at the words that was defined in this. What's name? And I see how it all can come into sync back onto this question.
Yes, sir.
Y'all play Uno. You know, Uno was designed. Uno mean one. You know, but it's an art on how can we bring it all back together. It's like you have certain things in your hand, based on what you know, and you take whatever's put down on the table, and you find what you got in your hand that can connect with what's on the table. So the question is, everything is interrelated. I don't know if y'all think Lion King. There's one big circle of life. Everything in the universe is connected. Now the question is the key is to find out how it is connected. Because you, like you said, there's an art to it though. Because a person put a green 3 down, you can't put a red 5 down just because you got it in your hand. You hear what I'm saying? Just because you got it, but you got to see how can I take what's in my hand that may seem totally irrelevant to what's on the table. How can I connect it? So then we got to just make sure that when you present the idea, how is it connected to this right here?
Exactly.
Then you connect it, then it can be still legal play. If that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
As long as go ahead, yes, sir.
Also, too, when I look at this, as far as man being formed from the ground, that's a resurrection out of the ground that I see from the dead into life. Even too, as far as the pilgrimage, that's talking about going to Mecca. When I think of in the scriptures, Jesus, he rose from the dead in 3 days. He destroyed the temple and rose 3 days, but this is prior to him being crucified. So there was a resurrection in his mind, and he rose from the dead. So just like you had quote-unquote Resurrection Sunday, like pretty much when one person rises from the dead, they don't go back dead. but there's a change in the spirit and in the mind. And when you resurrect something, you know, that's what you're trying to do, rise from the dead over to life.
Yes, sir. Beautiful answer.
For the minister, he got defined, it says, in the open letter, it's talking about the open letter and how the minister prior to define resurrection. And if you go back to the letter, it's down here, resurrection is a process that begins with the substitute of spirit. And it does not end until he becomes one with perfect harmony or peace in the mind in his creation. And then it also, with the Holy Quran here, it says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, nay, I swear by the day of resurrection, nay, I swear by the substitute of spirit, does man think that we should not gather his bones yet? And we are powerful to make complete his whole make. 75, 1 through 4. And this is what the minister had given us concerning the resurrection. And also, it's to say, and in the process of resurrection, is it similar to the pyramid, if you ask why?
Similar to the what?
The pyramid.
Okay.
And yes, why?
That's anybody got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, that's saying the same with the Holy Quran we just read, because it's showing you in his definition of resurrection, it's a process, a stage by stage until you reach your eventual development into oneness with Allah. So just like the Holy Quran is saying how you come from dust, then a small life journey. So those are the stages. Mm-hmm. And so that's the resurrection. The resurrection and it's the same thing, you know.
Yeah, that's what Brother Ransom was saying, and I think that's what the brother was saying for the smallest act, for starting off with the quark and left hand, and then moving on up until you get to a humanist. And you notice that in the words pilgrimage and resurrection, it kind of like they meet up, because you know pilgrimage is like when you're going from a place that you know, and you go to be a pilgrimage of a new land. You go into some uncharted territory, and you go on discovery. But resurrection gives you a picture of something that you're going back to something that you once were already at. Because you know, if I say I'm going to re-cook some food, that means the food's already cooked, but you're bringing it back to its original state. So you remake the bed. So wreck, the word rectus means right or straight. Yeah, right straight, like when you rectify something. Or you like a rectangle, an angle that got 90 degrees. It's perfect. 90 is all wise and righteous, so to speak, right and exact. But we not right and exact right now. Our community is not right and exact right now. But at one time, everything we did was right and exact, like a rectangle. And we didn't have to have an external rectified situation, because it was an internal, like the sister said, the self-accusing spirit that rectified our actions when we deviated. And so the word resurrect, and then soar means to rise back into that right angle. But means that we was already there before. So redeemer is somebody who's just bringing us back into the state that we naturally was in already. So we not haphazardly just move into from one phase and just hoping that we're going to end up to be something. We moving towards something that we already was once at already before. We need to be awakening, or reminded. That's why the minister kind of called divine reminder. He's reminding us that which is already coded in our DNA.
Right, quickening spirit.
Yes, brother. Like on smiling, sir.
You know, we got two components about ourselves. We got a brown germ and a dark germ. And he took the brown germ, grafted it, extracted. Extract means to draw forth. So he drew forth this brown germ so you can get a picture of yourself in its lowest term, in a dead state. How could you know what the mass if you never seen it? You feel it, you understand it. The moon guy blew up the planet, separated, you saw it, but there was some inside you that was going on that needed to be all the way extracted to draw forth. And when you draw it forth, you can see it and understand this is what's in you. And when you see what is in you, then you can work towards making them steps, the exodus and the odyssey towards perfecting it. But you had to extract it to see it so you can start beginning to master it. So resurrection, it takes you back, true enough, but it takes you back to your essence and what was inside your essence. So when it was drawn out, you can get a picture of just like the pilgrimage. It's making like you say a journey, and in this journey you become awakened. So it's a self-accusing spirit process, but you had to see what you was accusing of, or being accused of, and this is all what you was being accused of with the white man manifest today in this world. Now we doing it to each other because all we doing is mimicking what we saw them do. That's why a lot of places over across the world, they done put our people in slavery. But this is darker people doing this to other darker people. Because they ain't doing nothing but mimicking what the slave master taught them. And this keep being replicated. So I'm like,
See,
he just tied in just with the point I was trying to make with him.
Yes, sir.
What we doing today to ourselves and what other people, they selling us a story that we sold them. They selling us back a story that we sold them. So we have to cover that, like he said, the dots. We got to connect the dots. And
Brother Jeffrey, we ain't going to make it personal. And the reason why I said what I said, brother, because you opposed the question to him of a question that he was speaking on, first and foremost. That's what you did. He was speaking on something. He made a statement in something, and you opposed the question. So anytime when you oppose a question to another person in the circle of this circle, what you're doing is prolonging the question what he's dealing with, and it's taking it away from what, because it seems like we're going to keep building and adding on to that. It's good to build and add on to it, but we don't want to lose the focus of this. That's what I'm saying.
It's nothing personal to that.
It's nothing personal at all.
But that's your opinion and that's your understanding. See, everybody just connected that dot from from his statement. But what?
Yes, sir. But
I know what he's saying. I know what he's saying. I know what he's saying. But how can you learn? How can you learn? You know, even when he made the point that we have to take these things, some of the stuff back home, because you can't get it all right here.
I understand.
We getting the idea of what we're trying to connect.
What we're doing right now?
Oh, well, go ahead. But
we can discuss this.
But how do you get people interested and to keep coming to us?
We can discuss this afterwards.
They got to learn something.
I understand what you're saying, brother. I understand.
You know, no, it's people that don't know what you're talking about.
But we can discuss this later. I don't want to interrupt what we're doing.
No, we don't have to discuss this later.
I don't want to interrupt.
This is the time, but we can move on.
No, sir. Because this is a study circle
hold
for the group.
It's some value in everybody's saying, but it's a matter of us selling on the best part of what the person is saying. You know what I'm saying? It's the original man. Why is the devil selling on the best part of the planet Earth? Why is the devil selling on the best part of the planet Earth? Because Earth belongs to the original black man. And knowing the devil was wicked and not being peace among them, he put him out in the worst part of the earth, kept the best part preserved for himself ever since he made it. The best part is in Arabia, in the holy city Mecca. The colored man of Caucasian is the devil. Arabia is in the Far East and bordered by the Indian Ocean on the south. So how do we, what everybody has to bring to the table, everything that everybody brings to the table, every part ain't the best part. I got a part of myself that's the worst part. There's a part of my wife's part that's the worst part. There's a part of Sister Nikki that's the worst part. There's a part of this. But how do we take and know every square inch of one another?
I got respect.
And how do this is a question. I'm not saying, this is
I got to respectfully say, brother, we are cheating the rest of the people here. Out of the circle when we're going back and forth.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that.
We gotta stick to this.
Yeah, so my question is,
we gotta stick to this.
This is just a rhetorical question. I'm not saying there's no right or wrong answer to this per se. But how do we take the best part of what everybody has to say? We know every square inch, but how do we settle on the best part? And not even be concerned about the worst part?
No,
This is a question. That was a question. I just thought it out.
All Jeffrey trying to
I understand. I'm clear.
What's going on in Detroit, they blowing through study
Yes,
guides.
sir.
Yeah, 'cause they
And
on
the
nine.
reason why we don't blow through study guides, because we stuck on one. And then when we come back next week, we stuck on 2. And then when we come back the following week, we stuck on 3. Because we still building, because people want to dispute something that somebody said, or people want to keep elaborating on it, and this is not the room nor the time.
You speaking to, you might be speaking to the choir. I feel you. I'm already clear on that already. So what I'm just, I'm just throwing, that's just a rhetorical question. How do we settle on the best part of one another? And not invalidate one another, but still settle on the best part. This don't justify the worst part. You understand what I'm saying? The worst part is what it is. It's the worst part. But go ahead. What you gonna say, brother?
Sticking back.
His brother got a comment.
Sticking back to this, pretty much, there was a video that I saw where they show white people actually invading a tribe and how they invade a tribe. And the first thing that they used, they didn't go in with guns. They actually used fire, a match, because the man, they would make it from scratch, fire. So just striking a match was a miracle to them. So that's how they infiltrated first. And then the second thing they used was salt, or something like that. And then they let them taste rice without the salt, and then they put the salt in the rice, and then they liked the rice. And then the next thing they used was a mirror, because most of the people never seen themselves with a mirror. Most they would see is at a river, but they never seen themselves. So by showing a mirror broke the tribal instinct. Like if I saw something in your hair and I was to just grab it normally, now that you got a mirror, if I go to grab this out your hair, it's like, brother, why are you touching me? You see what I'm saying? They broke the tribal connection with something simple as a mirror. And then they just went through the whole process of how they learned the language and everything, and then they invaded the whole tribe. And they didn't go in with guns. They didn't go in there like that. They went in with lighters, salt, and mirrors, simple things like that.
Plastic poles and stuff. And this tribe had never seen white people.
Okay, in the process of revolution, and nobody ever answered that question. Yeah, we talked about that.
Resurrection.
Yeah, I talked about that. But I can read 23, the Holy Quran 23:12.
Point with the resurrected tribe.
The next question.
You want to?
So it says here, Surah 23, 12 through 14. And it says, and certainly we create man of an extract of clay. Then we make him a small life germ in a firm resting place. Then we make the life germ a clot. Then we make the clot a lump of flesh. Then we make and a lump of flesh, bones. Then we clothe the bones with flesh. Then we cause it to grow into another creation. So blessed be Allah, the great creator, the best of creators. I'm sorry. So the question is now, it's called the believer. The same process described in the previous chapter is repeated. What is the significance of mentioning this process in a surah by this name, believer?
Well, I know for me, when just because of this self-improvement, so I'm looking for ways to apply this to my own life, and just because we're in building the human potential, so to see that process mentioned twice and just going back to likening a thought to, the origin of life, if you will, whatever it is that I think about, I could take it through those phases to manifest it if I have belief, A, that I can do it, and, whatever my idea is. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, sir, brother.
I noticed that a lot of things is always emphasized on believing, and the first thing that comes to my mind is that if you take out the head, then the body will fall. So a lot of things that you think, it affects the rest of your body. So if you believe, then it will show outwardly. So it's focused on the mind, and you got to believe in order for it to manifest itself in the physical and through your actions.
Beautifully said, bro.
And then I was thinking too that because of this believer, and just thinking the process that I went through when I came into the nation. Okay, so what I was coming in, and then eventually stopping this, getting rid of this, going, learning and dropping things that I thought, we come in here, we think a certain way, and then once we come into the knowledge of ourselves, and then so we evolving, steadily evolving, and that's what made me think of when it says that what was the significance of mentioning this in the surah named believer, because when you become a believer, then you go through those stages too. Like when I first came into the nation, I never thought that I never thought that I would ever stop smoking weed. Never. In my wildest dreams, it was like, because I had friends, they were 70, 80, and we were all still smoking weed, right? But once I came into, and then I identified with myself and knew who I was, then I was able to drive it, and then everybody was like, what? We never thought that she would go that far, So it's just an evolutionary thing that, I came to get, and then at a time, eating 1 meal a day, and then people would say, 1 meal a day? You eat 1 meal a day? So I was just thinking about the process that I was doing as a believer when you come in and eventually making your prayers, doing what a believer is supposed to do, But that's an evolving stage. When you come in, you don't know as much. You just think that you're in the nation.
Right.
But then when you get into it and really become a believer, then your lifestyle changes. Everything changes. Your way of thinking changes. And so you're evolving, and it's a high evolution and not a downgrade.
Wow, and I think I look at Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's a perfect example of believer. And I say believe. I say believe in what? He believes that I don't know how to say whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, that's what we can achieve. That there's an infinite levels of imagination, of possibility, and he is a perfect example of one who is constantly pressing the mark. Just at a time period when he gave up his career, gave up his musical career, that was his livelihood. That was what he knew since he was 5 years old. He didn't know, he had no other trades other than that. And so when the messenger told him to give this up, and we're going to take you into the red pill, I'm going to show you how deep this rabbit hole really is. You talking about giving up your career, things that you need to feed your growing family, and somebody telling you about this infinite level of possibility, of potential that's within us, and what even told you specifically what you're going to be doing? See, that's a believer. It's not just a believer in a dogma, just in a doctrine, because that don't make you a believer. You can quote, you can just do that. We do this in the church, we do this in the mosque. We say, I believe in the death, burial, and the resurrection. So, because I believe in the creed that everybody got indoctrinated into, I'm a believer. I believe that Allah came in the person, man for Muhammad, and I'm like Muhammad, exalted Christ, minister for a kind, divine, mind, and I'm this, so I'm a believer. That man for Muhammad say Islam, after learning Islam is mathematics is Islam, it's saying truth. You can prove it in no limited time. So this is not a dogmatic theology, it was a mathematical theology. And then it becomes, when we accept a quote-unquote dogmatic theology, the tendency is to become judgmental. Anybody else that don't do what we doing, we become judgmental, become self-righteous. And then we come to them like, the way you're going to reach this oneness with God, you got to believe this right here, unless you're going to hell. And Miss Farrakhan took 1 million men to Washington, D.C. and had an 8 steps of atonement, and none of it was based on dogma.
That's right.
This is baffling to the religious world. Whether you call yourself Muslim, Hebrew Israelite, Christian, whatever your faith is, this stretches the mind. This brings a sword to all the religious hypocrites and all of the sects, the cliques. Yeah.
I was thinking of, as Sister was saying, and looking at this here, and repeating the process of this over and over with the clock. What came to mind to me was that letter, actually writing somebody's name, and they handwriting, and then going through it, and putting that thing, and locking that in your head and say, I can do this. I can write this letter. That's the first trial that all of us went through in the nation, and before we even got in, was to write that letter and the handwriting of another man. Write it, complete it, get it approved, and then transfer over. And now you consider as becoming a registered member. Not yet a believer yet, but a registered member. And then you're going through the stage in the process of the principles and learning this and learning that. So that's what I was thinking of when I was thinking of that clock, going over something, over and over, repeating the stages in the process.
I'm like them.
He had his hand up. Then Brother Lennon.
I really enjoyed her testimony because I know that took a lot of willpower and strength from a lot of what's inside of you, because the thing is to strive for such a higher attainment, you do have those people around you that's like, what, you eating 1 meal a day and you're doing this and you're doing that. And sometimes we come from people that are close to you. It could be a cousin, family member, and things like that. And sometimes you feel alienated by taking that path. But to still stay focused and to actually obtain that goal, that is very a powerful testimony that you shared, and I like that.
And actually, what she really did, she did the believer when she was reading. I'm sorry. Oh, I forgot.
But Lennon, will you?
No, I was just saying.
I was gonna ask him if he would be willing to yield to you, considering he was the next.
Go ahead.
I was just saying on I-14, she was actually doing the stage by stage her growth and development from that, the firm, as she let go of things of the world, and she became in another stage until she is going where she's still going through the process, until we reach our perfect perfection, and that's going to be oneness with Allah, So I was just, that's all.
Go on, Brother.
Just going through that.
In the Quran say we created man from abstract clay. Then we made him a small light germ. Then we made the life germ a cloud. Then we clothed the cloud with flesh. Then we made the lump of flesh bone. Then we took it into another creation. When the sperm travel up the fallopian tube toward the uterus to meet up with the ovum, thousands and billions of cells is being killed off just for that one to make it to its destination. The mentor said you could really sit back and think, you could reflect back when you was in the womb. So when you was in the womb, you believe at them stages, developing to believe it. Then once you made it to the destination, you begin to form. Then you go into another creation. The minister went into another creation, but he failed because he stopped believing. And when you stop believing, I gave you another side of it. When you stop believing, what will happen? So he had to go through them stages to understand. He had to continue to believe in order to manifest himself at the desired state. That's why he continued to believe as strong as he believed, because he believed Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still alive. If he didn't have that belief, the belief wouldn't be there. So he have a strong belief that Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still alive. So he keep moving forward to seeing him again. That's what I'm like.
That's beautiful. This is getting good. Number 4. What What did you just read, sir?
I read number 3.
Okay, so you read the, I'm saying, what did you read, like out of the front?
Oh, it was the 23.
Okay.
14.
I want to read Holy Quran 32, 6 through 9.
Okay, it says,
Listen, does anybody have extra crime?
that's mine, and I could kind of look at that.
Here's a chapter for you.
That's kind of raggedy. Oh, we got,
32, 6 through 9.
Okay, it says, such is the knower of the unseen and the seen, the mighty, the merciful, who made beautiful everything that he created, and he began the creation of man from dust. Then he made his prodigy, that's not prodigy. Progeny. I'm sorry. Then he made his progeny, an extract of worthless water. Then he made him complete and breathed into him his spirit and gave you ears and eyes and hearts. Little is it that you give thanks. That's true. That's true. Oh, true. You take things for granted. So this says, in the question, it says this surah is called adoration. What is the significance of this word, adoration, in the process of resurrection?
Okay, so this surah, I should have read this. Did you read this question? What is the significance of this word, adoration? I was reading on the Quran. What is the significance of this word, adoration, in the process of resurrection? What is the significance of the word adoration in the process of resurrection? Okay, anybody want to answer the question? What is the significance of the word? What are you looking up for adoration?
What would be the definition of adoration?
Excellent question. That's what I'm looking at now.
Adore.
To admire.
To admire.
To admire. And I'm looking at it, it's saying to admire the process of how Allah brought you about and to be grateful for how he brought you into existence.
In reference to him bringing you to
So what
Islam, or in reference to... Oh, you got it on there?
Said,
You know, and the minister keep being repetitious of the surah of the dust because we came from a worthless state. And in that worthless state, he manifests this beautiful vessel that we now have. And we went through stages and stages to manifest this. And he's saying that we should worship the one who gave us this ability to come from a worthless state into this magnificent structure. So we should be in the process of worship towards him. Just like you once said, that he showed us that we was created from that state so that we could remain humble. That's why the minister, he once said that it was a person in his office talking to him about how he should always feel high when people admire him. Then he went to the ashes, put his hands in the ashes, just to remind himself how humble he was at the beginning stage of his development. So he reminded himself of looking at the ashes of a dead person that he had in his office to remind himself that's the state that he was once in. So he will always remain humble. This is why they always depict him as being a child playing with marbles, because he'll never look at himself higher than that. He stays in a neutral zone, a humble zone.
Like a song. Beautiful said, bro.
One way I try to think about it is, let's say somebody was drowning you underneath of water. What would you try to do? You try to kick, do anything you got to. You'll fight whatever you got to just to come up, and then once you come up, you take that breath, because you fighting to get that one breath. But right now, we breathing as much as we want, but we don't value it, every single breath, as much as if you was being drowned and you couldn't breathe. Another aspect that I look at is, like I became homeless in California at one point. And then going from being homeless to actually coming back into society, there's a lot of things that I really don't stress about per se or worry about versus somebody that's never been homeless and they always staying in society, because it's like, oh man, this person said this and that, this bill, woo. I'm happy that I got a chance to pay a bill, or a bill might be late, but just the fact that I had that, period. You know what I'm saying? Because I could have easily been still on the street somewhere, scuffed up. There's people that I saw when I was homeless, sleeping on cardboard, on concrete, still praising the Father. So it frustrates the mess out of me when people actually have a roof over their head, have a chance to pay a late bill, and there's people out there that don't even have that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he created us and give us the chance to actually live and dwell on this space, like I said, it's a little thing just to give thanks. It's a little thing to be a servant. It's a little thing to open your mouth. It's a little thing to praise him and rejoice.
Well, welcome. Yes, brother.
As brother was talking, speaking, I was thinking about, like we're walking, right? Then you complain about your feet. Then you look to your left, you see a man over there, he ain't got no feet. You know what I'm saying? Or you reaching, or you're asked to do something, right? And you got to use physical, put some physical into it, some work into it, some strength into it. And then you look over here, and you see a man ain't got no arms. You know what I'm saying? Or you're speaking, and you ain't got nothing, you can't speak. So, it's the gratitude of what we have in life, as brother was saying. And we don't realize this until actually when it come upon us. You know what I'm saying? And we lose certain elements, or maybe a person in your life. It could be an individual in your life. You can lose, but when that person was around, you overlook the person. But now that the person is gone, you're always trying to say good things about the person, and knowing when the person was there, you didn't really even care for that person. And we do that in particular as a people. You know what I'm saying? We go to funerals, we want to talk about how this person was, but in reality that you didn't care about. So instead of being grateful, man, being appreciative and gratitude, showing gratitude.
Another thing too I like to think about, I did some research and I listened to a lot of testimonies from people that were older, like in like the 80s, 90s, and 100 years old. And a lot of them said they would have took more risks in life, they would have stepped out and did more things, and they was always reflecting back on things that they could have done or should have done. I think about me being at this age, I might sit back and say, man, in high school I wish I would have did this, or in college I wish I would have did this. But the thing that's happening is that sometimes in your mind you live so much in the past, you can't even focus on the now. You understand what I'm saying? Because the now is steadily becoming the past, which is creating your future. So if you focus on that now, and understand how precious this now is, it's going to become the past, but it's also going to be your future. And that's so important. But you don't want to miss this moment living in your brain, because we all here right now, but somebody could be thinking about something that happened 2 hours ago, and they here, but they not here. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is to be here in that moment and really enjoy that moment, because you can miss a lot of moments being stuck thinking and looking to the past. You don't drive looking backwards going forward. You know what I'm saying? Right. You might look a couple of times, but you get out that rearview mirror and you keep your eyes on the road. So that's where we got to stay focused at.
I'm like,
No, I remember when I was incarcerated, they had me in the hole. And when they had me in the hole, they didn't feed me. They turned my water off, and they beat me every time I went to the shower. They made me walk to the shower nude, and they kept me in the cell nude without no blankets, no comfort to put on me. And they did me like this for a whole year, and I lost my sanity. And in losing my sanity, I came to appreciate those that's mentally ill. But I came also to appreciate how it feels to have your sanity. So to not lose it again, always give God credit to remind me of what it was like to not have your sanity. So to keep it going forth and keep it strong, I keep reminding myself what it was once like to be gone. Because they put me in a predicament to where I lost everything.
I want to second what he said too, because I spent 10 days in the hole, and I got tasered twice to the ribs, and I got hit with the string tasers, and they threw me in the hole basically butt naked, and I didn't have no paper, I didn't have light, I didn't have a pen, I didn't have music, I didn't have food, nothing. I didn't have anything where I could really use the bathroom correctly, and it was just pure total darkness. And but the reality is, some people might hear that and get angry, but the reality is that I wasn't living my life correctly at that time, and the Father had to spank me in a way to bring me back to how I was in the womb and how I first came, and so I can actually focus on Him and pray correctly and He needed to get my attention, and that's the extreme that it took for that to happen. And I was actually able to have an experience with Him, and He put me back on this earth in order to actually be a force. And I took that thing that became very negative to a lot of people, and they be like, man, I can never imagine that, but it was actually one of my biggest blessings.
Allahu Akbar. Beautiful, beautiful comment.
We got about 9 minutes before we close out.
Some beautiful comments.
Yes, very beautiful. And so I got an announcement. Of course, everybody knows, or should know, that the minister, Honorable Minister Farrakhan, will be doing a webcast throughout America to all women. And that's this Saturday. We're going to be at Martin Luther King High School in Detroit. Here's a flyer that you can invite some of your female relatives or friends or something. We want to try to make sure as many of our sisters can be there as possible, because we're losing them. And we don't understand our worth. And that is what we're going to stress to them. We see our sisters think that they're no more than pieces of flesh, and that is their worth in their rear end. And so we want to try to invite as many out. We also have an announcement from the church here. They're having a play. They're having a play. It's called Come Out With Your Hands Up. It's a safe play written by Donald E. Wilson. It's going to be at the Canton Christian Fellowship Church in Canton, Michigan. The tickets advance are $20 and $25 at the door. So if anybody wants to see this slide or take this slide with them, about this. Anybody, you can get 10 of us would like to go there and see what lesson. You can go to our venue for $15. Okay. You have our flyers.
There's one thing I want to make. That you said that it's called come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up. It's a true story of a brother who took his life. Give this to a brother in case he wants to invite some of his relatives out.
No,
Okay.
Now, actually, that web, it's gonna be a webcast, so they can, stay at home and watch. We just
Okay.
wanna make sure that they see it. So, you can invite people into your homes and show it, you know, to you. So, oh, no, it's gonna be on webcast, NOI.org, says webcast. Yeah, it's gonna be a live webcast. Because, what we told in the beginning that even if they couldn't come, to just see whether they can see it from their phones or, you know, their home computers and all
Yeah,
of
so
that.
the enemy is trying to shut out the venue.
And also,
He's doing a lot of things to keep trying to make that as difficult as possible.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't see it.
Okay, and the Navy Bean Festival, just think we're gonna have the Navy Bean Festival here, July 4th, Saturday, July 4th. And, we have flyers now and, vendor forms. You wanna, is there anyone that you know that, has a product that they would like to push or sell at the, Navy Bean Festival? We have, vendor forms. The reservation for the space is $25. And, we're going to do all that we can to make this really a big thing this time. We're going to work in conjunction with the church too here, so it should be a much bigger event this year. A much better place that we're
Feel that. I messed it up. I messed it up.
So what's the deal? I ain't got it in there?
No, I messed it up. It's not on the screen anymore.